Now, we're very fortunate because on our stage we have 3 gentlemen, all of them claiming to be Donald Thornton, who worked 7 days a week and created a singing group composed of his 6 daughters, all so that they might become doctors. Now, let's find out about this entirely unique family by starting with Kitty Carlisle.
Thank you. Oh, it's marvelous. Whatever you've done, it's just extraordinary. I'm so admiring. Number 3, can you give us a quick rundown of all of your jobs, including Sundays?
Well, I had to cut grass, mow yards, scrub the floors. There's any job I could get to make enough money to try to get my children through school.
And number 2, who did all the arranging for the group?
My wife, she did all the arranging for the group.
She's a musician?
Yes.
Number 1, was she a trained musician?
Yes.
Where did she go to music school?
Well, we had teachers come to the house.
I see. And number 3, where did your daughters all go to medical school?
Well, one is at Presbyterian Hospital in New York City.
Yes.
The other one is at the other 3 hospitals out in the New Jersey area.
Yeah, thank you. And number 2, are you now still working? Are you being supported in the style to which you should be accustomed by your daughters?
I'm still working because I'm not old enough to retire yet.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm working as a janitor.
Working as a janitor was the answer. We got a buzzer. We're going down to Bill Cullen, who works like a horse.
I do indeed. Number 2, I'm going to stay with you because you're still working. Are you perhaps continuing to work in the hopes that you'll be able to put your grandchildren through school and make them doctors?
Now, I'm going to let their parents do that, but I may help them.
Good for you. Number 1, when the girls formed this musical group, did they start to make money right away or reasonably soon?
No, maybe, let's say, 4 years after.
Okay, number 3, when the girls began to make money performing musically that way, did you ever doubt that maybe did you ever think that maybe it'd be better to keep them in that than to move them on to medicine?
Well, I want them to pretty well follow their own ambition. Most of them had very good voices. They stuck very close together. And I wanted them to kind of follow their own intuition.
Okay, staying with you, number 3.
Thank you, William. We're going to go on to Miss Margaret.
Thank you. Number 3, where are you from?
From Long Beach, New Jersey.
Thank you. And number 2, did the girls help pay their own way through school, making money from all these gigs that they did?
Yes, they certainly did. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to make it.
Well, and number 2, were they able to get scholarships as well, or did they have to pay every nickel on the barrel head?
Yes, they got scholarships because they were very brilliant when it comes to studying. They were ambitious, and they did everything to make it easy.
Thank you.
me.
Number 1, do they still get together at parties and play music and sing and everything?
No, it's, I guess it's the profession they're in that keeps them.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to be a doctor. Number 3.
And on to Joe Garagiola.
Thank you, Gary. Number 3, the line of profession where the color of their skin didn't matter. That's kind of an interesting one. Doctors are the only people that showed no discrimination. Weren't there other professions you thought about, number 3?
Yeah, I thought that the entire society was one that perpetrated, racist against black people in this country. And I wanted them to be able to take care of themselves. If a man didn't want to do it, they'd be able to stand on their own feet.
And staying with you, number 3, you figured as doctors, people would want them, and so they would call them when they needed help. Is that it? Was that
Which
your
number is that, Joe?
Number 3.
How's that?
I say you wanted them to be needed, so there would be no discrimination. Was that your thinking?
I wanted them to be able to stand on their own feet where they could take care of themselves if no one else wanted to.
Number 1,
Whoops, there we go. Sorry, the familiar little ding-dong has just gone off, and that means it is time for us to collectively make up our minds from our individual thoughts and also to make a number. Now, the only 3 numbers they can make, they make a number 1, they make a number 2, or they make a number 3. In our usual unchanging, generous fashion, we pay $50 to the group for each wrong vote and $500 in case nobody comes up with the real Mr. Thornton. And Kitty starts, please.
Well, I voted for number 2. And whoever it is, my hat's off to you. I only have one daughter going through medical school. And so whoever you are, you're a hell of a man.
Indeed. And so we have a 2, and we're going down to Bill.
Biggest disappointment in my father's life was that I didn't become a doctor. He used to point at the television and say, look what became of him. I took number 1.
And we have a 1, and we have a 2, and there is Peggy.
Well, if I read number 3's daughter and he said, I think you'd be a doctor, I'd be a doctor. So I voted for him.
Well, now, that's the best possible thing we could have, a total spread all the way across the board. Everybody's got 1. Joe, you're going to have to cast the majority vote here.
well, I started to vote for number 3, but I was like Peggy. Whatever he told me, I say, yes, sir, I'm going to do it as big as he is. You could use him for a handball court as big as he is. But I voted for number 1 because he's got the kind of a face that he just wants to do what's best for his kids.
So, an instinctual fatherly vote from Joe Garagiola. Now, the votes are all in. Now, anybody who has ever watched this show more than one time knows that we're not going to let Mr. Thornton get off of here without meeting his daughters. So, you sit right where you are, and we'll first have the Thornton sisters just come out here, and let's get a look at this splendid-looking group. Yeah. Everybody's saying if you look at him, you can tell who the daddy is there. Sure. All right. Now, Mr. Thornton, if you'll go center stage and wait with your daughters, we'll find out who our imposters are. Let's check out with number 2. Number 2, sir, what is your real name and what do you do?
My real name is Ulysses Hastings. I'm a retired shoe manager.
Good. Nice to have you, Mr. Hastings. And number 3, can you tell me about you, please?
I'm Reverend Frederick Douglass Kirkpatrick, a lay minister for the Church of God in Christ.
The Reverend. Well, Mr. Thornton is naturally a very proud man, and any proud man will show you pictures of his kids, but he doesn't have to pull out any pictures because we got the kids here, if they can still be called that. I'll join you, Senator. Mr. Thornton, will you introduce the young ladies to us?
Yes, this is Donnelly, my oldest.
I'm a housewife, and I have one little girl.
Well, good for you.
I'm a nurse and mother of a 5-year-old son.
Nurse, fine indeed.
And Rita?
I'm a dental student at University of Pennsylvania.
Rita.
And Linda?
Linda?
I'm a dentist in the United States Army, and I'm stationed at Walter Reed Army Medical Center.
Can't do better than that.
Jeanette?
I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'll be going to Boston University School of Medicine in the fall.
Psychologist?
Yes.
Save a little time for me. I need you. And how about you?
Yvonne?
I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist, presently at the Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center in New York.
You, the psychologist, I can use. He's an obstetrician. Frankly, I really don't think we're going to run into each other too often. But, Mr. Thornton, you ought to be a proud man. I'm proud to know you, and ladies, you too as well. Thank you, imposter, for being here. Any good spot? That makes you feel good all over. Well, I don't know what to tell you about what's coming up because it may turn out to be nothing. We'll have to wait around and find out ourselves, but it's not our usual thing. It's not a game. It's a little idea we had. So we'll be right back after these.